Hello folks, and today we're going to talk about natural disasters. They're a nightmare, but we've got to talk about it. These are 10 things that you need to know if you're having a natural disaster. Natural disasters come in all shapes, forms and sizes, from nuclear war. Hopefully we don't get that, but if we get that, we're pretty scuppered anyway. So there's not much point preparing for that, because even if you survive the nuclear blast and everything else, you've got the nuclear fallout. And the problem with the nuclear fallout, it's like tiny grains of sand falling down from the sky. So if you survive the blast and everything else is gone, there's been nothing left at all. And the nuclear fallout, like I said, it's these tiny grains of sand, it looks like. And when they land on your skin becomes radiated, and it's not a great sight, to be honest. So we'll forget about nuclear fallouts. But let's just talk about, if you're in, say there was a nuclear fallout or a nuclear blast, but you're out of the way, you're a good few miles away from it. So say your power supply and all that sort of stuff was like 100 miles away or something, just for argument's sake, right? So say you're out the zone, but all the power is shut down and everything else, you still need to survive that, don't you? Because there'll be no electricity and probably no running water. So this is a way of doing it. Or if there's a flood, this is another way. Say we get flooded, like there's been a lot of floods just lately in the news and everything else, and a lot of people have been flooded. So these are all the survival tips. Now, every household should have, what I recommend is, you definitely need, these are the 10 things we definitely need. So the things we really need are food, water and shelter. So you're going to go back to the primal days. So it might be for a short while, it could be for a week until things get back to normal. It could be even longer. So this is like the natural disasters. So we're going to rule out nuclear fallout because it's pointless, because there'll be nothing left anyway. And even if there is, it's going to be horrendous. So we'll rule out that. But what about if it's floods, or there's fire, or your house gets broken with earthquakes or something destroyed, or something like that, or there's some kind of other natural disaster, hurricanes and stuff. Not that we get them in this country anyway, but you never know what's going to be around the corner. So 10 things. There could be sinkholes and all sorts. We have sinkholes that appear all the time. We try and repair sinkholes in the roads, and a few years later they still appear. So we're just going to go down that road anyway. So you need food, water and shelter. They're your main things. Once you've got those, you're not too bad. So the 10 things that you need is definitely, number one, a tent. You definitely need a tent. Everyone should have a tent, even if it's a small one. If your house gets obliterated, or even if you live in an apartment in your house, or your apartment gets obliterated or something, or you just don't know what's going to come, even a small tent will do. It's just you need shelter, just in case the emergency services can't get to you. So you need a tent. So that's number one. Number two, you need water. Now water, stock up some water. You only need enough for a week, to be honest, because after a week you can assess it, or you can move on, or the emergency services might come to you by then in a week. So you definitely need water. So that's number two. Bottled water is perfect. Number three, you need somewhere to cook, because if everything's gone, like there's no electricity, so you can't cook, or there's no gas or anything like that, what you do need then is some camping stoves. I always have camping stoves. I've always got tents and everything else. Get those little canisters of gas. They'll just do, just to get it going, just to cook something. And speaking of cooking, you need food. What you want to do when you go to the supermarkets and stuff like that, you want to get yourself a couple of extra cans of soup. They're only cheap, or even beans, anything. And just to get those 2 extra ones and just put them away somewhere. Do you know what I mean? Because that way you've always got some kind of food, just in case. Tin goods last quite a long time. I'm saying you just need to last for about a week, really, because after a week, I mean, things might get worse, but after a week you've got a pretty idea what's going to happen. So then the next on the list we need then is a radio. If you've got a radio, that's what you need next. A radio is perfect, just a bog standard radio, so you can tune in, you see, and listen to what's happening. Because your TV might not work, there might be not any electricity where you are, but the radio will let you know if there's anything going on. And speaking of radios, why don't you get yourself some walkie-talkies? Because if the phone signal goes down and you want to, communicate with your family, say not too far away, but they say someone needs to scout off and have a look around, say, in your area, a walkie-talkie is perfect, and that way you can communicate with each other and say what's happening in the next block and things like that. It's all basic stuff, this, and all this will only cost you less than £200 for the entire lot, everything, with the walkie-talkie, the tent and camping stove. You might already have all that sort of stuff already. Right, next on the list, batteries. They're no good, radios and walkie-talkies, without batteries if they don't work. Now if you can get a USB battery charger radio like I've got on the USB charging walkie-talkies, you're alright, because on the next on the list, you see in a minute, once you've got a load of batteries, you need those to power all your other little devices, because your phones might not work, like I said before. So the next on the list, right, speaking of batteries, I've got a great big battery. I've got these great big leisure batteries, but that's going over the top, to be honest. I'm talking about the general household person, you know, the normal person. So I've got these leisure batteries, and I've connected them up, this is what you should definitely get. You can get these cheap, a miniature solar panel. Get a little solar panel, and you can stick that in the window, or stick it outside, wherever, because you don't, like you say, you're not sure what the situation is. You can even hang it on the tree if you want, and that will give you enough energy to charge, say, a flashlight or your walkie-talkies or whatever. It just gives you that extra energy, do you know what I mean? Because the batteries, even if you get those little tiny, got some batteries in here. These tiny little things, they won't last forever. You know what I mean? You can't definitely leave the lights on all night with these, I tell you now. These are just if you're searching around and looking for something. So don't leave your torches. So that's another thing, you need a torch. So don't leave your torches on all night long, burning them, because them batteries won't last 5 minutes. Remember, you've got to think to yourself, I need to last about a week, really. I mean, I can last longer, because like I say, I've got these massive batteries I have, and the solar panels that charge them. Well, charging them as I speak right now, constantly charging. And speaking of lights, you need a torch, don't you? That's another thing. You definitely need a torch. If you can get a torch, you're all right, because that way you can, you know, you need a torch anyway, just to have a look around, see what's going on at night and all that sort of stuff. And then also, if you can get hold of some of this stuff, bit of this like insulation film. I've got loads of this stuff. This is great. Now you can put this on your tent on the ground, and then you can line it as well in case it's really cold. Keeps you warm. And speaking of keeping you warm, the last thing on my list now, I think, is you need candles. Candles are perfect, because your camping stove is great, don't forget, that's good for cooking, and it uses those little gas bottles. The gas bottles are pretty cheap, so you get 4 in a pack. You can get them from £5 for 4, or you can get 4 for 10. It all depends, you've got to shop about, but they're normally expensive when it's camping season. Everything goes up, so get them in the winter when no one wants to go camping. They're cheaper. Just store them, they're perfect, they're all right stored. But I'll tell you what you do need. What do you need? Yeah, these keep you warm, insulate everywhere, keeps you all warm and toasty and everything else. Not only that though, they reflect light as well. So if it's like a bit dark and dingy where you are, put some of these round, and the light that you have actually reflects it, makes it brighter for you. Hopefully we never have a natural disaster and all that sort of stuff, but if we do, it's better to be prepared. And not forgetting first aid. You need your health as well, you know, because you've got to keep clean and everything else. So you need a first aid kit, even if it's a small first aid kit with a bit of plaster, because you don't want to get anything like that. But going to the extreme about water and things like that, if there is an actual disaster, so first thing you want to do, go upstairs or into your bathroom, wherever your bathroom may be, put your plug in and fill it full of water before the water runs out, because if the electric does go, eventually you won't be able to get any water into your sink or into your bath. Don't use it for drinking. Not no, I don't mean that. I mean, don't use it for washing with though. That water. Use a little bit of the water for washing. Just get a bucket out. But you need that just in case for drinking if you haven't got any drinking water at all. And to make sure it's safe, you can put a tiny little bit of bleach that's not scented into that water, and it'll kill anything off. There's a bit of a tip for you, a little bit of bleach. Not a lot of bleach, because you don't want to be tasting bleach, like, but just a bit in, mix it round, and then that will get rid of any bacteria or anything else that's in the water. The bleach will kill it all off, and it's safe to drink then. But I'd probably boil it as well, just on the safe side. But that's if you haven't got anything to cook with, or like I say, you need some stoves or some way of cooking. But you can use a candle if you really need to. You can get a candle and make some kind of a stove for you. Or if your house is all right but you've lost everything, all power and everything else, on your stove you could put a couple of candles where the if you've got a gas ring one, that is, because don't forget, and speaking of gas rings, don't forget to switch off the gas as well. If there's a natural disaster, don't forget to go and switch off your gas supply, because you don't want that going all haywire if anything happens. You don't want it exploding or anything like that. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, and I hope you like this video, and hopefully we never have a natural disaster or anything like that. But with everything going on just at the moment, everything's gone a bit crazy. Like I said, we've had floods and all sorts, and God knows what's happening around the world. So I just want to keep you positive, upbeat, and get some rope and all. Rope's always good. The list could go on and on and on and on and on here, you know what I mean? But I always be prepared. Better be prepared than not, because you don't want to be running around, because people will start losing their minds, won't they, and panicking. Do you remember that time a couple of years ago when Facebook went down for a couple of hours? Everyone was going nuts. So, you know, I'm just saying, and look after each other, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and all that, and leave your comments below if there's anything I've missed out on there. Thanks very much for watching, folks, and